Welcome back. Did you know that the vast majority of MTG players, which also includes me, guilty, and even the professionals, have made some of the most common mistakes that could easily be avoided? Yeah, I know, it's wild. If you're looking to up your game and not be a part of those statistics while also turning that win rate frown upside down, stick around. Today, we're diving into the 5 most common mistakes players make in MTG, but most especially on Arena. Keep in mind, this list is not in any particular order, as they are equally important in more ways than one. These blunders can seriously hold you back from climbing the ladder efficiently and improving your overall gameplay. Trust me, knowing what to avoid can make a world of difference in your matches. And here we go. So, what's the deal? Well, many players struggle with a few key challenges. First up, let's talk about RTFC, which stands for reading the f***ing card. Listen, reading is busted. This wouldn't be mentioned, nor would this acronym have been created to virtual meme status if this wasn't a problem for most players. While I understand the game is more complicated than ever with text boxes longer than some CVS receipts, sometimes you just gotta read the card, then read it again, you get the idea. It's not uncommon to see players misunderstand how certain cards and synergies work together, which can lead to some pretty disastrous plays. One example is missing keywords like trample, menace, lifelink, etc. Luckily, Reach has been given an animation, however. Another example is most did not know Mockingbird counted all mana spent, not just the X mana spent. There are always nuances within sets, and most times people miss a few of them, which can either raise or drop their power level. In essence, RTFC. Next up is knowing your deck. That's another area where people get tripped up. There is a difference between understanding your deck and knowing your deck. Managing your mana, knowing when to hold back spells, cards, etc., timing your plays being crucial, knowing who's the beatdown, etc., are all examples of knowing your deck. If you've ever found yourself with too little mana to cast a crucial spell, or worse, playing a card at the wrong time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are times where you even can play the wrong land on turn 1 in certain matchups that can have a snowball cascading effect on games. These mistakes can cost you precious win rate percentage points, and they happen more often than you think they do. To curb this, have someone present with you, stream it on Discord or online, or record your games and go back and view them. Be objective. Over 90% of your losses are on you, not so much the variance in the game. Now let's break down some specific common mistakes. One of the most important common mistakes is conceding too early. The common consensus is to get the most volume of matches, best of 1 or best of 3, in, as this is the fastest way to climb. However, I do not agree with this notion, especially for newer players. The more matches you win, the faster your climb, especially in best of 3, obviously. However, the reason the best players have higher win rates than most is their ability to dissect any position and know when their position is completely 100% lost with no outs. If there is even a slight chance of winning a game or match, you play to the outs until the game is over, win or lose. Even your opponent missing the winning line is also an out. Plus, if you are a newer player, you actually need to know what those positions look like. On the flip side of this, a caveat if you will, because the game has variance, you can do everything right and still lose, and vice versa. One final point, and one of the things I coach, is telling players to ask themselves questions like, how can I get out of this losing position? Or how is it possible for my opponent to win from here? And essentially stop those things from happening if possible. Essentially stop conceding in spots you have outs and play it out. You'll be surprised at how much play you had left. Just as not conceding is important, the opposite is true about mulligans. Some of y'all mulligans decisions are about as logical as believing in flat earth. I said what I said. Alright, I kid. However, mulligan decisions are a huge deal, especially when the mulligan rules are as they are. Knowing you can draw a whole new 7, albeit bottoming X cards depending on your mulligan counts, still allows you to sculpt the best hand possible. For example, this hand is a mulligan based on having too many bombardments, yet I keep because of irrelevant reasons and lose the game and match because of it anyway. There are virtually limitless variations and lines to take when making mulligan decisions, but if you have a good mix of lands 2 to 4 and spells 3 to 4, it is a keep. Going into the nuances of very specific mulligan decisions are a bit too deep for this video, but comment below if you would like to see content like that in the future. However, keep the general rule of thumb of having a good mix of land and spells in mind when making those decisions. Speaking of those decisions, this segues into the final point and probably one of the most important aspects when it comes to mistakes. Now for the real kicker. The most critical mistake players make is not about adapting their strategy based on what's happening on the board, nor about learning about secret tech, or even about researching the best decks and playing them, which you should. The real kicker is you not playing enough. That's right, you heard it here first. On average, many players do not play enough. This also accounts for all the other previous mistakes mentioned that is coupled into the overall playing time. You are missing the valuable information per match every time you scoop too early, do not take mulligan decisions necessary, whimsically playing lands and spells without much thought, while also assuming what cards do from the opponent, or even if you are playing something new. If you are not consistently getting into the higher ranks, it is usually due to not playing enough. The newer you are at playing, the more you need to play, and Arena is one of the best places to get that type of volume. For those who play in other areas like Paper or MTGO, Magic the Gathering Online for those who don't know, play people better than you. Swap decks after and see the difference in how they play to yours. Lastly, record your games and go over them with someone who is better than you to get an objective critique to improve your game. So, to wrap things up, we've covered some of the most common mistakes players make in MTG, from not reading the fucking card, to scooping too early and not playing enough. These pitfalls can really hold you back. By recognizing and avoiding these errors, you'll set yourself up for a more enjoyable and successive experience in the game. If you made it this far, now I want to hear from you. What common mistakes have you made in MTG? And drop your stories in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my other strategy videos to keep leveling up your game. Catch you next time, and happy spell slinging. See you in the next video.